You're tuning into the Wild, Weird, and Sometimes Normal podcast. If you have a story or a guest recommendation that you think others need to hear, email me at wildweirdandsometimesnormal@gmail.com. Let's get this started. Alex and Brett, kick it!
Wild. Wild. Weird. And sometimes wild. Weird. Wild. Weird. Wild. Weird. Wild. Weird. And sometimes normal.
On this episode, I'm joined by author Eric Bickernicks. Eric has written several satire novels on UFOs and conspiracies. Eric is a self-proclaimed skeptic, and even though we rarely see eye to eye on the topics we covered, it was still an enjoyable conversation, because that's what adults do. Eric seemed to lean on the mainstream media narrative for many topics, as well as resident debunker Mick West for his view of the world. I've seen Mick West produce exact to pretty close replicas of real UFO evidence. My issue is that if your goal is to replicate a picture and discount the experience with it, then that can be done all day. For instance, Eric subscribes to the official JFK narrative. Oswald was the lone shooter and patriotic American Jack Ruby ended him. Eric references that professional marksmen have been able to recreate the shots that Oswald allegedly took. Give me the location, time needed to complete the task, endless hours practicing, a closed-off range, and I'm pretty sure I could come at least close to the desired outcome. You're taking away the intangibles, the nerves, second thoughts, concern about being caught, etc. Anyway, I digress. Eric finds himself stuck between a rock and a hard place, writing a skeptical book on conspiracies and UFOs for people, well, who don't believe in conspiracies and UFOs. Tough sell in a show like mine, and I think Eric realizes that. Also in the show notes, the BBC article that shows 68% of researchers cannot produce the same results in a scientist's experiments. This is referenced in our conversation during the show, and Eric wanted some more details on my anecdote. I think this is what the kids call bringing the receipts. Anyway, give Eric a follow, check out the link to his books, and let him know you heard him on Wild and Weird. Enjoy the show. Are you looking to buy a home in New Jersey, escape the city and move to the suburbs? Finally purchase a vacation home on the lake or down the shore? Maybe you're one of the lucky ones who are retiring and moving out of state. If so, let me help you. Keller Williams and the Real Estate Professional Group have what you need to make your goals come true. Reach out and have a conversation with someone who will put you first. Contact Brian McCoach at 856-321-1212 or email brianmccoach@kw.com. Are you looking for CBD for your pet? My friends at Pure Pet Wellness have what you need. They use the highest quality ingredients. While other companies may use synthetic oils in their CBD, Pure Pet Wellness uses organic ingredients, organically grown hemp, organic coconut oil, organic shea butter, organic beeswax, and that's just to name a few. A family-owned and operated company that also offers fast shipping. Go to purepetwellness.com for all your pet's CBD needs and use the discount code WILD and WEIRD at checkout. That's WILD, A-N-D, WEIRD. Treat your animal right. Go to purepetwellness.com. Welcome to another episode of Wild, Weird, and Sometimes Normal. I'm your host, Brian, and today my guest is author Eric Bickernicks. Welcome, Eric.
Ta-da.
Here you are. How's it going?
Right. Yay. Yeah. So much to cover. Good, huh? So it's like so much to cover. So all right,
yeah.
All right.
Let's jump in. Let's jump in. We don't need the formalities. That's ridiculous. Let's jump in.
All right. So
author of what?
Author of 3 books, specifically the latest 2 skeptical takes on the UFO culture and conspiracy culture. First one's called High Strangeness. Basically, making fun of UFO culture. I took a lot of national celebrities within the whole genre and sort of boiled it down into a little onto Cape Cod. So I took sort of like the nationwide look and put it into a little area, and then satirized it, amongst through there. Basically, the premise is what if whilst everyone is looking for the alien grays, the actual real aliens are literally, you're standing on them, and everybody ignores it because we have a preconceived notion of aliens are obviously grays, they're obviously spaceships, and that's just, that's just how it is. And sort of the joke there is since no one else interacts with them other than a dog, a golden retriever, basically they impart wisdom like a 2001 monolith. And basically, so the deal is the dog becomes, we see the story from, a part of the story from the dog's perspective, and he becomes basically a genius dog where no one realizes what's going on whilst we're chasing after the frozen bodies at the Air Force Base. And then from there, I took the same characters and basically went after the conspiracy culture and boiled that down to, what happens nationwide, taking real events, like Alec Jones, one of the characters basically turns into Alec Jones. There's a Pizzagate takeoff, QAnon. Yeah, I just lump it all in there.
Throw it all in it. So the smartest person on the planet after interacting with aliens is a dog.
Oh, no, that's the first one. Yeah.
I wouldn't put that past us, though. That could be true after seeing a lot what's happening in the world.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the first one, the dog becomes a genius. Right. And then when the rest of the gang finally catch on at the end of it, like, wait a minute, those are the aliens. Yeah. Then basically they sell them on eBay. So basically, if they could just break them up and sell it on eBay, everyone on the world basically could then become rational. And for a short while, it's just like a little intellectual fantasy where it's like the world becomes rational. It's like there's the conspiracy thinking goes away. The world is based on rationality, and it's a little intellectual fantasy. Basically, spoiler: ignorance wins in the end. Yeah. So, yeah.
Ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is bliss. Yeah. So that sounds like a pretty cool book, a pretty good series that you wrote. So you also were referencing a lot of things that are within the culture. Do you follow these things? Is it just something that you found as you were doing research for your book? Yep. Okay.
As an old 60-year-old guy, I've been following UFOs stuff, since I was in high school in the 70s. One of the things I noticed as an old guy is when I was a kid in high school, there were like 4 UFO books, basically 5 UFO books, right? And one of them, Lubbock Lights, Barney and what's her face there, that one little incident there. And we just heard about the Area 51, the alleged, the balloon crash at Area 51. And that was just like, okay, that's from the 50s. And that was it, basically, right? And then the deal is, aliens back then, everyone had their own alien, right? It was just like, okay, what did your alien look like? Well, it was, blah, 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 it was rat-like or whatever. One example I pulled out in another podcast recently was a story, and it came out back then, Fire in the Sky, right? Where those aliens, the guy got abducted, and those aliens floated from the spacecraft, and then they were kind of elephant-shaped things, and they carried them up. And it was like, as a kid, like, well, that's cool. Yeah. But then as life has been going on, 40 years pass, no, we all agree what aliens look like, right? I mean, they're grays. There's no more, random aliens. We're consistent. Similar to like leprechauns. We know what leprechauns look like, but they don't exist, right? Santa Claus, we know exactly what Santa Claus looks like. So I've watched it go from like, well, this, it's Star Trek. It's all just different aliens, and we're on board.
So it was Baskin Robbins back then. Everybody had their own flavor of alien. It was a more united world where if you were going to get abducted, it could be by anything. It was more fun.
It's cool. Yeah, right.
It's just grace.
Right. I noticed that the turn was, I think, I remember as a kid, Communion, the book Communion had that alien face right there. It was in the supermarket aisle, and you stared at it while you were, moving through the line. I kind of noticed like that was like the beginning of it. If I had to nail it down, where everyone, that communion face wasn't quite. It was gray, like a little more pointier. So
had the big eyes, had the shaped head.
So we focused on that. Everybody saw that in the supermarket aisle back then. But you notice around the same time, even when Spielberg did Close Encounters of the Third Kind, the little ones were kind of gray-like, right? But the adult one was kind of a humanoid with the long, gangly arms, So he wasn't quite on board with the classic gray, image. But that was the start of it, right? And then X-Files kind of all, they're going to be grays, right? And now we're here, it's like, no, they're all grays. Everyone, yes, if it's an alien, it looks like a gray, Folklore. What happened?
Do you think it's because production's easier to have a small person play a gray than it is to have a 7-footer Shaquille O'Neal playing the
well,
the giant humanoid.
it's consistent. I mean that you just anything Hollywood TV shows, yeah, just feed what the audience wants to see, right? I mean that's what they want. On actual now fictional aliens, what I always found interesting is I always, as a kid, when I saw the George Powell War of the Worlds alien, right, which looked nothing like humanoid, it had a 3-lens face on it. That was startling, right? And I was like, well, that's cool. That looks like an alien, right? That's different, even though it had lungs on it. And if you see the clip, but then slowly. Slowly, basically, you need if you're going to tell a good story, you need a humanoid-looking face. You need something that can express something, or it looks scary. And certainly, a humanoid face that's devil-like is much more scarier than just an insect-looking thing, which are scary. I thought James Cameron had a good answer when someone asked him, said, "Look, as for Avatar, right? They said, look, your aliens were rendered. You could have rendered." Anything, right? They could have been anything. So why did you render them as blue, blue natives, whatever? And he goes, look, I'm making a movie for human beings. I need to, convey sorrow. I need to have emotion. This is an emotional response. I want to get an emotional response out of my movie. And if it's just an insect, sticky little thing, I'm not gonna, I need big eyes, right? You notice how what's the characters' names? Davies or what? They have big eyes, right? That's you can if you can express things with it.
I mean, people don't care about puppy mills. People spray their house every year for bugs. They step on,
right.
Mice and roaches are the worst thing. I mean, which they are, but that's fine.
Right.
So if you have an alien roach, you're like, "Oh, kill that thing. I don't care about it."
Yeah, exactly. Like Starship Troopers, right? But and that's the one thing. If you just want to kill it, yuck, alien, right? Oh, horrible, blah blah blah. We didn't have to convey any emotion, because we're interacting. Because we just needed to kill it. Simple enough plot line, right? Okay, make them insects. If you want to just kill them, right?
But they could have been nice, but no one stopped to talk to them.
There you go, right?
They didn't show empathy. Like they only attacked because they were attacked.
Right. But if you want to do the interaction, it's like, yes, you want to have them scary. You want the gray, classic grays. That's yeah.
Here, the classic grays, they're small enough. They kind of look like people, so then you're confused. Like, oh, what am I looking at? Is that a child there? Then then like weird things start to happen.
Right.
So that is interesting. Whitley Strieber had Communion come out, and that is now what for the most part, everyone says that's what the aliens are.
Right.
I think David Grush, they had the Skiff interview. Grush wasn't there. They had Kirkpatrick, I think, was doing the Skiff interview, and Representative Luna came out and was like, "Oh, you have to listen to what David Grush said." But apparently, some notes were leaked, and there's 5 different types of aliens that the government allegedly is acknowledging. I don't know, but it seems like the Greys are the most popular ones now.
Right. And getting back to watching, again, the folklore form. Now, if you go back to the Roswell crash, right, which, it was in the paper. If you go back to the original reports, right, there were no mentions of alien bodies. There was nothing of that in there, right? It was basically, and it's clearly like, it looks like a kite. It's just little pieces of foil, right? The guy, went off. And certainly Project Mogul, right, was the government finally said, it was a balloon. Yeah, it's a balloon. We couldn't talk about it because, the Ruskies are going to know about it, blah, blah, blah. Right. So, but it's interesting that it took 30 years before, no, there was a body back at the Air Force Base, etc. That was never, there was nothing. 30 years went by before right around, 50, 60, 70, right around 80, the 80s, when you started to hear this, like, oh, no, they found a body in there and they took it back, blah, 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 blah. They started covering up, blah, 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 blah.
The government was more okay letting people think that it was a spaceship and some bodies than being like, actually, it was just a balloon that was detecting a nuclear.
Yes.
If there was a nuclear explosion anywhere.
Right, exactly. Which
couldn't let people know about that.
Yeah.
A crappy little Hobby Lobby balloon. No, we can't talk about that. Like, spaceships, that probably was that.
Now, I find it interesting that, like, coincidence is basically Jesus' story, right? Took 30 years before anyone actually decided to actually write the story down or get the facts, quote facts, together. It took 30 years before the apostles, whoever they were, started to formulate the fable, or the story, right? Because certainly it takes 30 years. Then your memory gets a little fuzzier, So it just, I've seen that time and time again. That you give it some time, and then when you kind of forget about it, you can recall it the way you want to recall it, and that's just human nature. That's just how we operate. So I just thought it was interesting that it took that 30-year gap before you saw that stuff come around.
Right. You have to go to the library, you have to get the microfiche and see what the newspaper was. In Jerusalem and Bethlehem at the time, I don't think they had daily newspapers that were surviving 30 years for people to go, like, hey, remember that time, that thing? Like, oh, yeah, sure, of course I remember that.
Right.
You don't be the guy saying you don't remember, and you have to hear the whole story again. Like, yeah, sure, of course. Write that down,
exactly.
write that down.
All until, whatever cryptids are, you're finding, you're seeing, So, yeah.
So you have a satire view on some of these things. You come in. Is that your general view on all of this stuff, and you just kind of collect the stuff like baseball cards, and you just like to know about it, and you just like some of these people are crazy,
as a skeptic, I just want to express myself, and I put it into a novel form. And that's what's it's cool. It's interesting, right? I've followed this stuff since day one. Recently, all this conspiracy stuff is just like, oh, you got to be kidding me! Oh my god,
Some of it is really out there, but then when it does turn out to get proved true, and you're like, see, I told you.
Well, boy,
some of it just keeps coming out, and you're like, well, is that I don't know.
Yeah. What was I going to say? So someone else had mentioned, are we referring to, I think Alex Jones started referring to, like, no, there were some child, oh boy. Yeah, so I'm just so basically as a annoyed skeptic, it's just like, instead of just railing about, trying to do this in sort of like a nonfiction or thing, I sort of used the Galileo model. Galileo was totally agreed with the Copernican model. He had to explain this to the church, right? Of that the planets revolved around the sun, and he used a character called Simplicio, I think, to show this quote, sort of show the ignorant viewpoint that the church had, and that the Copernican model is a good, theory on the universe. And basically, I just did that. I took, my Simplicio characters who believe in whatever, the UFOs, the aliens are coming, conspiracies, and basically took my skeptic and assigned myself to the protagonist, and basically, argued the points and illustrated them in a sense, through a story. Yeah.
Were the stakes higher in Galileo's time for the threat of being burned at the stake versus a $4 billion lawsuit against you?
Yeah. So terrible. So if you're trying to sell books, this is a terrible, terrible way of doing it. If you want to, because my audience, which are skeptics, basically, there's a tiny little sliver of quote, book buying skeptics out there versus, just make another UFO book that whatever crashed. Big money to be made there. Big money to be made on conspiracies, whatever conspiracies you got. Good money there. I recommend that if you want to sell a book, go pro, conspiracies. Lots of people are buying, right?
Yeah, that's kind of like with the podcast. If I lean heavily one way, I feel left or right, that I could like have a much bigger audience, but like trying to stick down the middle and like view things somewhat rational while also, like liking to follow a lot of the stuff. It just narrows me. I should just lean harder one way. Just figure it out.
There's a lot of conspiracy. There's a lot of conspiracy podcasts out there. I think I had a list of 300. I scraped 300 off of listen notes. This is
the top 10 one. Don't worry about those other 290.
Someone's actually watching this. Oh shit.
Just me and you. Don't worry.
All right, cool.
That's it. Yeah. So you're skeptical about UFOs, about aliens. Everybody sees the same grays. Historical narratives of angels and things like this. People have interacted with like burning bushes. Could just be a story, whatever it might be. Now the government is coming out. New York Times, 2017. Says, hey, Tic Tac video, UFOs off the coast. They have congressional hearings, and there's people, South Carolina Air Base, and they're like, hey, every time we go up, they're just waiting for us. Like they just hang out there and wait for us, and they kind of know what we're doing. Do you And the government's coming out, and you have whistleblowers, allegedly, whatever, David Grush saying, "Hey, I've
Right.
heard firsthand evidence. I've heard all this stuff." Do you think this is just
Yep.
disinformation? Do you think there's aliens?
All right, see, now that is, there's two separate things here. Okay, yes, is there intelligent life or any sort of life out in the universe? Certainly it's a given. Blah 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 blah. We know the number, all the numbers and all that. Yeah, so I'm not even going there. Yeah, of course, whether they actually made the trip or wanted to make the trip, then give us a rectal exam. Okay, hold on. Hold on, wait. That's where I'm drawing the line here. And I'm even drawing the line saying, listen, the one thing we could assume that if there is somebody who's out there, right, and then actually needed to make the trip or wanted to make the trip, their powers of observation are just much greater than ours, right? I mean, that's a safe assumption. However they do that, but just powers of observation, right, would be, if we want to call them telescopes or whatever, right? Greater. So it would seem like that what to us, a good look at something or someone is, I'm about 100 yards away, right? We can get a good solid, yeah, it's about 100 yards. That's us, right? Certainly, why couldn't they just park themselves out in the orbit of Pluto and go, yeah, we know where they are. We can see all the technology. We understand. Yep, there it is. Or even why not just park themselves out by Alpha Centauri? Yep, still got it. Yep, no reason to go down and shake their hands. Well, we understand what's going through all what they're doing. We certainly had to have gone through some version of this to get from wherever they are to there. And yeah, it's pretty clear, where we are in the grand scheme of things. Certainly we know how to do fission. Fusion's kind of tricky, so yeah, we're working on that. Yeah, I'm sure they, and certainly fusion is just, we're just mimicking the stars. Certainly they would have mimicked, the stars for energy or whatever. So yeah, it's pretty easy to see where we are. My argument is there's no reason why, and this is sort of my answer to the Fermi paradox. So what do they get out of it by shaking our hands, right? I mean, there's certainly, yes, they could give us, we would love to have them here's all this wonderful technology that you're not ready for. You're probably going to hurt yourself with it. And they'll just be responsible for why did you give them that little device they'll power their home and car for their lifetime and then vaporize their neighbor if you point it in their direction? So yeah, there's no good reason why they actually have to say anything, other than there they are, cool, yeah. I mean,
if they want to make the trip, they could have parked on the moon and just sent a probe down, or dropped the probe in the atmosphere and just go around.
I would argue a probe is pretty darn crude, but okay, sure, yes,
Yeah, a drone, whatever it might be, they want to put down and just have that just cruise around. But
fine.
They could just park on the moon, hang out for whatever data they want to gather, and head back. But landing, and they're in a field, and now there's a crop circle, and they're interacting with the military, and our military can't even agree with another military without shooting at them. It doesn't seem like somebody who doesn't look like another human would want to land and start talking to military people.
What if they're this small? You would never see them. I mean, and it's that's impossible. You can't, whatever probe you have is this small. To us, it's that's ridiculous, right? I mean, how could you?
You're holding up barely a speck of rice and saying that.
If we're thinking of the concept of probes and we need a little camera view or something, certainly we're getting there, right? Yeah. So
but there could be nanotechnology in the atmosphere we have no idea about that's just viewing us at whatever point. Right. So why does it have to be this 30-foot ship, this 100-foot ship, this giant black triangle, whatever it might be?
Right. So my argument. My argument is why are they dumb aliens? Why? I'm highly disappointed with crash saucers. I'm very disappointed in these highly intelligent beings who made the trip, who avoided every little particle from wherever they came from to here, and then smacked into a planet. Really, guys? Really? I thought you guys were super advanced. And you figure one of the first things is not hit a planet, and you would assume, and also you're assuming something is inside of this craft. If it actually was a craft, the standard size. Certainly, we look at drone technology now. I mean, that's like there's, at some point we're not going to be putting pilots in things, that fly around and do harm, whatever, to humans. Yeah. So,
we already have drones out there. They have the Raptor drones that they show.
Right.
They're going out over the Middle East. They're not piloted. They're armed. People are sitting safe in Nevada, just operating like a video game and shooting them off.
So
why?
So my argument is like, so we think of like, well, certainly if something is flying around, it has to have a piece of biology inside of it, because why? That's how we do it. Okay, that's how we've always looked at it. But if it's certainly, an AI kind of thing, it's like, why does it have to be a piece of biology in there? And I say biology as like, a squishy thing that looks like a gray that somehow looks like us. That's that has skin and then has that's the end of intelligence development. I mean, so we're certainly pushing towards an AI thing. So okay, it's certainly again we want to meet something that looks like us. At least it has black eyes. It has skin. We can shake its hand. Conveniently, it'll breathe oxygen.
Well, that's a good part that you brought up. If they come here, and they're breathing oxygen. They're not wearing a spacesuit. They're just happen to come from an oxygen-based planet themselves.
It could happen, I guess.
Yeah.
But again, you're just. Again, this is how we see the world, and basically, the dummies. That's how they get their viewpoint from Hollywood. And again, Hollywood, it has to be a good story. Make sure they cry. Or fine, you just want to kill them because they're insects. So
the things in the sky, do you think this is just like swamp gas and people not seeing the right thing? Or do you think some of the stuff is just high-tech government, black projects?
All right. Yeah. So now there's lots of reasons why there's a light in the sky, right? I mean, this is not the 1890s. We're like, really, there's a light in the sky? That's something to remark about, right? But so yeah, as an example, you mentioned the Tic Tac video. Mick West, if you've seen Mick West's takedown on that, or basically, it's all infrared, and he's gone over all that. So I highly recommend anyone who's seen that. And when I first saw the Tic Tac video, like, wow, yeah, okay, wow, look at that. Highly recommend you look at what Mick West did. He's got a whole platform out there.
I think everybody knows Mick West.
Now,
who's listening to my show?
Yeah, cool. One of the things I write about, here, I got my notes here, which I found very intriguing, and this sort of folds into, well, maybe it's the government, is, okay, where the heck was this? There was a sighting in, I think, Arizona, Phoenix Lights. Okay, there's two sightings at the Phoenix Lights, like March 13th, 1997. There were two sightings, right? One of them was a series of dots on the horizon that settled, and then just basically they disappeared behind the mountains, and we can prove that. We've got footage to show it clear. Yeah, those are just military flares from a distance, looked weird, and settled behind the mountain here. The next other report was literally the V-shaped, set of lights reported by a whole bunch of cops in different areas, triangulated, saying, yeah, it started here. I was standing here. It went that way. It came this, and then that officer took over from here and saw it come this way and went this way. And it was witnessed, by I don't know, 5, 6 cops.
The mayor of Phoenix came out and said that he saw it. Steve Kerr, the coach of the Golden State Warriors, came out and said that he saw. This was years later because they thought they're going to get mocked.
Right. So and then that folds into another episode. But anyway, point is like, all right, now, okay, that's pretty hard to just dismiss. Like, sure, there could have been 5 cops that got together and had it formed a conspiracy to make. Yeah, well, all right. So I'm willing. I'm from that. And I used this in the first book. All right, so maybe there was something there that flew over, right? That apparently was the size of a football field or something. A giant thing. Okay, so now it certainly doesn't seem much of a stretch. Like, well, could the military have something that big, floating, flying and like, I don't know. Yeah, does it have to be extraterrestrial? Certainly, yeah. I mean, human beings could build that, right? I mean, and I use that in the first book. I recreate that with drones, basically. So if you saw a V-shape, if you flew a formation of drones in a V-shape, you would kind of connect the dots and go, oh yeah, no, that's a V-shaped craft. Look, there's lights in the V. So that report is interesting, right? And like, yeah, what? Well, what the hell was it? I would more toward, lean towards, well, maybe it was the government, flying it through there. Why they would pick that? Why would they fly over a couple of towns if this is such a secret thing, or whatever? Yeah, that's a corker. That's a good one there.
So that is good. The drones are a good point too, because at that point, they were very rudimentary at that point, if even out at that all.
Yeah,
And I'm sure the military had them.
right.
And you can see videos now in China, I think South Korea, they were at a soccer game and somebody was filming across the street from the stadium. And the live view of the soccer game was somebody scored a goal and all these fireworks were going off, but they were all drones. And then,
Right.
A bit of AI in there too. And these people are like, these aren't even real fireworks. But it's amazing what the synchronization can do.
Right.
Go to any 4th of July show in a big city and they'll have a drone show for the most part now. And there it is, the Statue of Liberty. There it is, whatever it is. So, where did that come from? It wasn't just deployed. It wasn't just commercially deployed last year, 2, 3 years ago. It had to get worked on somewhere.
Right. Generally, my overall criticism, it's like, well, it's a point of light. You're getting worked up over a point of light. Now, yes, it's an interesting point of light, but where's the good disc? Where is the, like, that looks like a 34, 50, 100-foot disc that just came over, where's that footage? And while I'm at it, where's the good close-up footage of Bigfoot? Since I'll veer off to another thing.
Yeah,
which is
that's
the
a
same.
tough one.
Which is the same argument. It's like, it's one thing. Yes, I've seen the Patterson footage from '67, but literally every single person has a camera in their pocket, and it's a high definition camera. At some point we'll all have a 4K camera in our pocket. Certainly, where's all the as a skeptic, I should be going. That's just a guy in a suit. Next year, okay, there's another shot of a, Bigfoot. Yeah, suit. Yeah, it's a suit. Yeah, I know it looked at us, but it's a suit. I mean, I'm not doing that, right? As a skeptic, where's all the footage? I mean, literally everybody has it. So certainly the clear sightings of or footage of Bigfoot has not risen with the input of cameras of just the proliferation of cameras, and there's a lot of cameras out there.
You would think something would pick it up. So I have a hard time with that. There's stories of Bigfoot in the Pine Barrens. I live right on the outskirts of it. I cut up that way, going to work sometimes. And there's a guy that I interviewed. He's like, I saw him. I leave stuff out. I saw tracks of all this stuff. And he's telling me this he does on weekends. He goes out. It sounds credible. It's also hard. There's a kind of a major stretch of road that goes up through McGuire Air Force and all this other stuff. Like where... I guess it could be a 20-something mile stretch of like Pine Barrens, so maybe this thing could stay in there. But also a lot of people go off-roading in there. They go out there hunting and they go out there do all this stuff. Kids go out there and party. Where's Bigfoot? Like where's the body? Where's the,
The hard part being a skeptic is, okay, there is a Bigfoot, there isn't a Bigfoot, right? I mean, if you go to the BR4O website, there's two styles of reports. There's the dark thing in the woods that could have been a Bigfoot, and no, I saw it. It looked right at me at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps from the road from there to there. It looked at me. I was crapping my pants. Holy crap! So there's two, generally they break it down that way, right? And I'm the type A ones where it's just a dark thing. Yeah, the bears. Yeah, bears, just bears. Right? You can dismiss that, but when people say no, I saw it right there. The hard part, and again, and now we can discuss, well, where's, where is the evidence, Certainly, where's the photographic evidence, since, how many more cameras do we need out there to actually catch this thing?
Apparently more.
I don't know, yeah. So the point is, the hard part as a skeptic is like, okay, there is or isn't, it's not some weird deformed bears that were doing, no, it is or isn't, right? And as a skeptic, that means if there isn't, they're all liars. And that's like, wow, really? Humanity's that, wow, really? That doesn't look good if there's that many people who, just went on board with this and were promoting it, because whatever, it's cool. Yeah, I feel important because, look, I saw one too, blah, blah, blah. That's the hard part.
Everyone's a big stroke. I think that's a very broad brush. Now, are
Right.
there liars and everything?
Well,
But being mistaken is
I've already removed those. I'm saying
okay.
that,
Okay.
I'm
Oh, yeah.
saying
Okay.
I'm
Sorry.
saying a
Yep.
large chunk of it,
Who's left?
the
Yep.
mistakens. Let's remove
Yep.
those.
Okay.
Okay,
Yep.
now let's only focus on the people who it looked right at me. It's like, okay, all right. So that's the scary part. It's just like, okay, that if that's indeed the case, there is no Bigfoot. They're lying. Like, oh wow, I'm living on this planet with those people, huh? Oh yeah. So
Have you
that's
been
the
on
hard
social
part.
media? Have you
I'm
been on
going,
social
yeah.
media?
Yeah,
I mean, like you're living on the planet with those people.
Yes, and this folds back into the conspiracy theories now. So it's like, all right, so I'm like, okay, if people can actually go run with the Bigfoot thing and just, yeah, I don't care, yeah, I'm going for it, and then which folds into all the conspiracies. I'm like, wow, there's not a lot of rational people here. This is yeah.
All right, let's
And
start with one of the biggest conspiracy theories.
all right,
It was one of the original ones.
okay,
JFK.
okay, all right,
Lone shooter, or was this
all right.
multiple people hired hit job?
This was brought up yesterday when I was talking to somebody at the podcast. All right. Okay, one. Okay, yes, we've seen the JFK movie, right? Front, back to front. What was it? The
Back and to the left.
Back and to the left.
Everyone's seen the Seinfeld. He
Back-
got spit on by Mike Piazza. Back
Back
and to the left.
here.
Yeah.
Now, here's the fact is that was an exit wound. It was an exit. That's how bullets work. There was a little hole in there. It was an exit wound. If you watch the film closely, there's a 3-frame delay. And then he snaps his body back. If you get hit with a baseball bat, you are going back, with the quote impact. Now, yeah, in Hollywood, that's how it's much cooler if the bullet pushes you over, right, in that way. But it's first of all, it's an exit wound. Anyone who knows about ballistics and all that stuff, it's an exit wound. It's an exit wound. When you shoot a body, there's a little hole in the front, big hole in the back, right? Exit wound. Now, so yes, there's people who point at the grassy knoll, etc. One guy, I read one book that some guy claimed that no, the shooter was in the sewer shooting up in, like, okay, yeah.
There's a lot that is fuzzy. That is the driver turned around and shot him. Like,
there's money. There's money to be made now. And again, too, the magic. What's it called? Not the
magic bullet theory by Arlen Specter.
Now, in that particular car, Kennedy was higher than Conklin in the front, right? It's yes, it doesn't look, but
it was a modified car, so you could see everybody in the car.
So right. If you put the bullet through there, yes, it can go right through. Two, people have done the shot. They've recreated it. You can do 3 shots from that viewpoint and get them off. It's tricky. Yes, the argument is like, well, wait a minute. When he came into the Dealey Plaza, the better shot was from that angle. Well, yeah, you should have taken it that way. Yeah. So the point is, to me, it's like, it's not satisfying that really some crazy dude who happened to be working there, who happened to have the president come by, did it. Is like, there's no, it's not satisfying. Like, really, just any idiot can actually shoot the president. It feels better. Like, no, there's a purpose. Yeah, no, there's a conspiracy. 2 guys are over there. So, yeah, can we rule out there was a guy on the grassy knoll? No, you can't. Right? You can't. Yes, but yeah, one guy can do it. And certainly, if you saw see the background of what's his face there, having a senior moment here. Yeah, he seemed motivated to do it. So, yeah, it's just. Again, 30 years later, right? Notice how it's 30 years later. We can get the fuzzies going now, and now it's easy to recall. So, yeah, but the point is, I'm like, yeah, I'm not motivated to convince anybody. I mean, I'm ranting now, but I'm like, sure, yeah, go with it. However you want to see life, yay, go.
Thank God you are, otherwise this podcast would be boring with you being
right.
Like, yes, I think that Oswald did it. And then we stop right. All right, next question.
Right.
But it's something that's interesting in the initial autopsy report. The wound is in the back and the shoulder, and then during the Warren Commission, I forget the center, it had it move over 4.5 inches back towards his neck. Now 4.5 inches, you're not thinking it's a lot, but like that's like half. That's shoulder to the neck. So that made the magic bullet theory and the 3 shots work there. But if it was on the
Right.
shoulder, then you were missing a bullet. So that's interesting.
The latest thing I saw, okay, the guy, they found the bullet on the cot right next to
On the
Kennedy.
stretcher, yeah, completely intact, ready to go.
Right. Now, apparently, okay, one of the FBI guys said, by the way, I put it there. What happens? He found it in the car, took it with him when he went to the hospital, and then said, he's holding the bullet, and he regrets that he never said anything, but he basically said, all right, well, the bullet certainly should go with the president's body, and put it on the cot, and that's why they found a bullet next to the president. He admits it. Now he goes, yeah, you're right, I should have said something, but the hysteria around that, well, it just made sense. The bullet went with the victim, so I put all the evidence together, right? Certainly the world, read a whole bunch into that. So I thought it was interesting that he admits it. And I should have said something, and I think I was, he just never spoke up about it. Just because.
So with that, I always found it strange when they're like, "Oh, they found the bullet on the stretcher. Like it fell out of the sleeve. Like they picked him up out of the car, like when the bullet in the car." So the Secret Service agent, FBI agent, saying he put it there. Like you also kind of forgot for 50 years, or you didn't want to say anything.
Right.
But you sign NDAs, you do all these things. You're threatened with prison. You're threatened with fun. And then when you're 90, you're like, I don't really care. I'm like, are you going to throw me in prison for the next 3 weeks until I'm dead?
Right.
But that the bullet was pristine, then that's interesting too. Be like, okay, how did the bullet go through somebody, and now it looks like a full bullet still?
Right.
But stranger things have happened, right? I mean, so I don't know. And then Jack Ruby, who is involved with the mob, and he's running an adult nightclub. Suddenly, he loves America so much, he's going to go shoot the guy. Like, it kind of seems like you're a sleazy dude, and maybe not. You wouldn't be so pro-American. Instead, you'd be like, hey, I've got this good business going on. I'm running the strip club. I've got the mob giving me money. Like, I don't know.
I find that whole thing. It was certainly a different time there when the press was literally just swarming the police station. When did the press swarm police stations anywhere? That's long gone. Yeah. So it's amazing that you just walked up and shot the guy. Different.
It's amazing
time,
the president just drove by, do like a hard right turn with no top on, and then you're like, well, that's crazy too. And then but of course they just bring out the number 1 suspect who killed the president in front of all the press. They're like, hey, look who we got here. Like everybody could touch him. Like it was a weird time back then. Or was it highly coordinated?
Okay.
But this is what adds to those like crazy things, because then you see, did they do that for who shot Reagan? But did they learn from their lesson and not do that? Right? Did they parade him out in front of the press? Did they do things like that? But maybe they learned their lesson.
Makes life interesting, doesn't it?
It does.
Speaking of presidential assassinations, I had a copy of American Experience where what was the president's name? McGillian. He got assassinated right after Lincoln, and the guy just walked up to him and just blasted him, and thought he would become famous. Very much similar to what's his face who shot Kennedy? Shot Lennon, John Lennon.
He was doing to impress Jodie Foster. Any other time I'd have his name.
Point is, his whole thing is, I will be famous. Yay! If I shoot someone famous, I get to be famous. Yeah, that's standard thing. Been there, done it a million times since then, and it keeps going.
And they let him out of jail, right? He came out of jail, and now he's living with his mother. Something. It's like, okay. Yeah.
Okay. There's 2 of them. Yeah. The one who shot the president with McKinley, and who shot John Lennon. John Lennon. They're thinking of letting him go.
Oh, so, Chapman. Mark David Chapman.
Yeah. He's getting close too. It's like, look. He understands what happened. Let him out. Like,
he said he was sorry. What do you guys?
He was. Yeah.
Accepting it.
Sorry. Right.
But it was a crazy time back then, and then you see some of the stuff that the celebrities go through now.
Yep.
And the world's gonna be crazier. Or maybe we only see that it's crazier. But like, Britney Spears at one point would be like, hey, I'm going to this restaurant. And then 1 million people would show up as she sits next to the window. And it's like personal safety, or like, isn't it probably better to sit in the back? But
George Harrison got attacked in his house on I think it was on Maui, I think. We don't really remember, but he got attacked. He almost got killed in his house but from another fan, blah blah blah.
If you live, it doesn't count as much.
Right, exactly. Yeah, whatever. He's fine. Okay. Yeah.
You just brush that on. You're like, that's fine.
Right.
You've never been assaulted in your own house? What are you talking about?
Right. Jesus. But yes, celebrity seems that seems scary. I know we all I want to be famous. I would love to be famous. In fact, I'm seriously considering I'm just switching to a pseudonym and write anonymously at this point, and then I can just go. Yeah, I don't even care what the world, thinks. I have
Sensationalize whatever you want and see
yes.
what you can get.
I'm going to sell.
Throw
Yeah,
it all at the wall, and you're good to go.
I have more in these two books because they represent me at this point. I'm like, yeah, I'm done trying to. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah,
No one's going to
agree
the
with me.
game. Go with the
Yeah,
pseudonym, cash whatever checks come in. This is the way to go. Yeah.
You got Hey,
many
kids.
times on this podcast, I just say, I am for sale. Government agencies listening. You want me to push your propaganda? I am for sale. Come talk to me.
So I've turned into the old guy that I hated as a idealistic 20-year-old. They're like, oh, really? Yeah, that's what I did. Yep. Yeah, it's kind of sad.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's lots of 20-year-olds that look at me like, oh, what a fucking old guy. Oh my god. Oh my god. But like kids, I was you at one point. I was young and idealistic. I was. It's like, yep. Oh, it's coming.
You have to. Yeah. The world is an interesting place on its own. Then you add in some of the mystery, even just the natural mystery stuff on its own. Like
makes it interesting, right? Yep.
There. And then you throw in some of the fantasized stuff, and it makes it tough for that to discern between reality and everything else. People get very upset about the flat earth versus the round earth. And it's like, but also like, how does that change your life? Like if the earth is flat tomorrow, like you still have to go to work, you still have your bills to pay, all this stuff. Pizzagate gets this like broad stroke of like, there's not a basement under the pizza shop and all this stuff. And it's like, well, okay, like probably not, but like, is there a high end trafficking ring, a la Jeffrey Epstein? And it's like, well, okay, but then you disassociate that. But they focus on, there's nothing in the basement here. James Elefante, there's nothing in his basement. He's fine.
The flat earth, all right, the flat earthers are interesting. Whereas you're like, just stop listening. Stop. Just don't. They just want attention, is from what I can tell. Well, the first thought is like, they just want attention, right? They just come up with these kooky things, flat earth, and you just go, stop looking at them. Don't put them on podcasts because but it's sensational. It's like, can you believe how stupid this person is? And they become a celebrity. they get rewarded for being that stupid. I mean, right? So it's almost that folds into like the rest of this, where it's like, no, if I got a kooky idea, maybe I can become famous by being so crazy kooky. Alex Jones.
Guy makes a fortune.
He made a fortune. Like, I get to be kooky, and yes. So unfortunately, our society, yes, embraces novelty. And if there's money to be made in novelty, and there's not a lot that's new, that's under the sun, right? So just make it kooky and bank.
So I need to sell supplements. He would sell some type of fluoride-free toothpaste. This is the route that I need to go to make my millions. I think that's where the vast majority of Alex Jones' money comes from. And then you hit on half of them, you hit on a third of them, but then the other 2/3, you're like, well, Hillary Clinton smells like the devil, and you're like, well, okay, does she? Like, I'm sure she showers. Like, that kind of mixes up when you're talking about there's a nuclear reactor underneath, the University of Texas. And then people are, but it just takes away from the truthful things you might do when you say some outrageous things.
I kind of look at it like the scientists really don't care about this stuff. I mean, if they're plugging away, they're just whatever the world is off in their tangent. At least there are some people on this planet that, okay, we're gonna go forward. We're going. It's a science. We're gonna just this little thing I'm working on. I'll have a little more truth by the end of my life when I dedicated this, and people will misconstrue it or whatever, whatever.
But there's some absurd number that the scientific studies, the research that they do cannot be proved in a laboratory. It's something like 70% of the experiments they do in research papers cannot be duplicated again in a laboratory.
Are we talking about just hard science, or what are you like? What are we doing? What are we talking about?
I don't know. There's a fact out there. You're fact checking me now. I didn't know we were doing that here.
Well, come on. Yeah. So
you would talk, I guess propulsion or things like that. I guess you have that there. But then you're seeing all these research papers are being retracted by Harvard and all of their doctorates that they did. Either that they plagiarized or they're looking back and going, well, that wasn't actually accurate. And that makes it hard too. We did a whole mask thing that now Fauci just came out. I mean, it was out way before that, but now Fauci came out and was like, I don't even know where that came from. It actually wouldn't do anything.
Right.
But you
I'm
still have
th-
a portion of the population walking around with it because they missed that on the news.
All right. I went out with a research scientist. She was a graduated top of her class from an Ivy League school, and she did research science. And basically, I was the boy toy. I was back in my 30s when I was cute.
Sounds
Yeah,
like worse jobs to be had.
yeah, and she basically was just doing research, and she was showing me what she was doing. It was literally just this little sliver of just like will this cell do something to this cell, and then there's a result, and then that's published, and that's certainly it's all that's reproducible. And this is what I'm thinking: really fine stuff. Like, yeah, okay, this there went into there. Okay, great. Next, And I asked her, so what good is this information that you're working on? And it's like, it's not my problem. That's the engineer's problem to figure out what can they exploit. I am showing, a new reality on. I'm like, yeah,
I get my grants. It keeps me in business. Grants. It keeps me funded. That's what I'm interested in. That's what I'm doing.
But yeah, it's amazing how
that's what they want.
To be an expert, you really it's just a fine line that this is my expertise. It's not, back in the day with Alexander Graham Bell, it's like, no, I make lots of, things. So yeah, and then people talk about.
So why have we gotten worse then? Alexander Graham Bell, Edison, thousands of inventions. Where's our thousands of inventions personnel? We have Elon Musk with like 4, and that's like you're looking at him going like, how can you do 4? That's crazy.
It's getting harder. The bar is just going up. Yeah, you need to be part of money behind it, because we're getting into a finer and finer detail, so it's just harder to hey, if I just put these 2 lumps of clay together, I have a new thing. It's like, yeah, no, that's been done. So yeah, so most people won't drill down to get to this bottom of the actual facts, whatever we're referring to, scientifically. Yeah, I just want the headline. Like, well, okay, the whole story is way down here in this little minutia here. Yeah, and of course they're not going to pay attention. You're right, they're and even if you tried sitting down with these people and try to explain to them, they're bored. They're not going to listen. So yeah, I'm, at this point, I'm like, you don't want to do it. You don't want to pay attention. That's okay, cool. Believe whatever you want. I'm not here to convince you otherwise, because you're not going to make the effort. So, yeah.
Do you think that since COVID came out, that the scientists hurt themselves with the stance they had at that time, that now seems to have changed? Well, and you're still not seeing news stations reporting how it has changed.
Well, yeah. Well, no, that's the nature. Because I'm not an expert in this crap, But
no, I know. But there's this whole science is settled. Science is settled. But you're sitting here saying,
no, it's not. It's never settled. No, it's never settled. Oh, Chris,
I know that was a big talking point for a while. Right, that was a big talking point for the crazies being like, hey.
But the fact is that the virus evolves. I mean, it's a moving target. So just saying that, there it is and solved. It's a moving target. Now, one of the deals is yes, if we all got the vaccinated, it would have gone away. We would have nailed it. But since there's a whole bunch of people who insist not to do that, it gives we're literally giving the virus its wiggle room to keep going. So that's why, yes, you have to do updates. Oh my God, I've had this argument regarding the COVID thing, where I'm 60, right? And I said, I was talking to a bunch of people younger than me, right? I said, who here has the mark of the smallpox vaccination? They're looking at me like, what's that? I said, everyone in my generation had a dot on their arm when they got the smallpox vaccination. There were no conspiracies at the time. Everyone got the smallpox vaccinations. It went away. It just went away. Yes, somebody probably had a bad reaction to the smallpox vaccination, but certainly there was no social media to have some crazy go. No. I found one exception to the rule, so that's the rule. It went away. And I'm kind of annoyed that I missed out on the stock market, because there's a couple of things that I bet on that are like, okay, so once the vaccination comes out, that'll go away. Business will go back to normal. No, it took 3 years for business to go back to normal. Why? Because no one wanted to take it, and it's still going to be hovering around us. There's my rant on that. So blame it on social media. Why that, there's a whole bunch of that stuff, my kids are gonna get autism for, all right. So so
I'm not gonna get in the whole big vaccine debate on all of it though, but it is So I think autism now is like 1 in 34 or something for boys, which is like, it just seems kind of crazy. But then,
Mm,
they've also developed the spectrum more. So before it used to only be like
right.
high autism, and now you're like, actually, you're fully functional, but except you have this little quirk, and that puts you on the spectrum. Is that going to put you in the lump of people that is, not that's a disease to be positive, that's showing autistic signs? Is that putting you as the 1 in 34, or is this just only the people who are going to need lifetime of help, the people who are going to need a lifetime of assistance of living with somebody because they can't function on their own? And I think
Uh,
before growing up, like ADD exploded. Like there was always a one or two wild kids
right.
in the class who couldn't focus, but now like everybody has it. But is that also because you just you're spreading this out more and then identifying more things where people who maybe could have used that help, but yet still functioned, they could have did better.
On another old guy story, which relates to what we're saying here, is when I was a kid, right? Every kid got a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. That's what you got for lunch.
Yep.
And if you reacted and started coughing, you were you're being difficult. Every kid got a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, right? And not until the 80s and 90s where it's like, oh, yes, there are people who certain
Just like
small.
2000s. I mean, I was in school in the 90s, and I don't
Did you
remember
get
anybody. I don't remember anybody being allergic to peanuts.
right? Yeah,
Like few and far between.
yeah, there certainly were, yes,
Yes,
kids
but
who, yeah,
yeah.
right.
Now
But
there's
then
peanut-free
again,
classrooms. Like my daughter's
right,
in a peanut-free
right.
snack
So
classroom.
that's what I'm saying. That whole thing is going on. Yes. If you're being oversensitive to it, yes, you're going to find more cases on it. And then how you define a peanut allergy was like, well, I have a little thing. Okay, fine, you're in the group. So. I find it, like I said, I find it interesting that it's like, yeah, I mean, every kid, and almost it's like you could argue that, like, yeah, no, if you didn't survive the peanut sandwich at lunch, it's like, yeah, then you're just out of the gene pool. So yeah, we just knocked you out.
That was
part of the
Darwinism
deal.
back then. That was
Yeah,
fine. That was
Darwinism. Yeah,
okay.
right. If you
Yeah.
didn't
How many
produce-
funerals did you go to as a child? The kids in your classroom having peanut allergies, like probably
Right.
zero.
Yeah,
Right. So,
yeah.
but now, like this is like, oh my god,
Oh my
like,
God!
it's-
Right. So yeah. So that basically there's been research on that autism, how you detect autism, what's now defined as autism, yeah, is just getting broader and broader. And yeah, not saying that it isn't exist, right? Just it's,
right. But it makes that number scarier, where it was like, it used to
Yes.
be 1 in 10,000. Like
There you
that,
go.
okay, that 1 in 10,000 was that person needed to live in adult assistance or live with their parents or caretaker the rest of their life because they would just walk outside naked and
Right.
freeze to death,
There's
wherever it might be.
there's a name, psychological name for this, where that it's like, no, I'm the special. I'll probably be the special one. My kid will probably be the one that will have the adverse reaction, which sort of falls into like why people gamble, right? Well, I'm the special one, right? I'm gonna win. The flip side of this, right? It's like, well, no, well, maybe I know the numbers that say that no, I'm not gonna win, but gambling, right? I mean, just like
I feel
that's the
attacked
most-
here. This is why I play the lottery. I feel like you're talking
right.
directly to me.
See, all right,
This is-
so
it
so
takes
this-
one. What are you talking about, Eric?
I've had this argument, where it's like, you have to play. It's like, well, no, you're not gonna win, but
But
just
you
that.
might win just for a small
exactly.
fee of $2 every single day. What are you talking about?
So yeah, so my kid might suffer from autism if I take the shot, blah blah blah. Yeah, so you're exaggerating. I mean, that's just human nature, right? You're exaggerating, whether the positive or the negative, whatever thing that we're focused on. So yeah, yep, there it is. As
So
an old guy,
percentages are funny. When my son was born,
right.
he would not, like, he just wouldn't sleep. He would take
Right.
these little cat naps all the time. And it was like, my wife and I were exhausted, all this stuff. So you said you had children. So
I didn't have
and when
children.
I-
No,
Oh, I'm sorry. You don't. I'm sorry. All right.
there's no
so-
skin in the game here. So yeah, good.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I'll cut that part. So when I was a kid growing up, my brothers and sisters, whatever, like however they fell asleep, they fell asleep. They sleep in their stomach,
Right.
they sleep in their back, they sleep sideways. Nobody cared. There was blankets on there with you. There was stuffed animals. Now, some tragic things happened with children. So they did a study on SIDS and sudden infant death syndrome and found that they could reduce SIDS by 90% if the kids slept on their back. Well, my
Right.
son was not sleeping on his back. He would sleep for 40 minutes, and then once you would get into the deep REM sleep, he would kick himself out, and it was terrible. So we go, and my wife and I have a whole talk, like, oh, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Like, we don't want him to sleep on his stomach, on his stomach, have all this happen. So we go to the doctor, and I do numbers for a living. I do a lot of Excel work,
Okay.
and He's like, oh, we cut the number by 90%. And so he's like, why would you ever want to put your kid on their stomach? Like, back is best. Back is best is the whole thing. But I was like, all right, what's the original number? He's no, what are you talking about? He's like, it's 90%. I was like, okay, great. If 1 million children are dying a year from SIDS and you cut that by 90%, I am much more concerned that my child is one of that 90% you're saving. But if that number is 10 a year, do I think my child's gonna be one of that 10? God, I hope not. I wouldn't want to bet wrong on that. But you're changing it from 10 to 1. That's a much different number than like, hey, we solved the whole world's problem versus we solved a very tiny, small amount that was a problem that may not have affected very much. But hey, save one life, all this stuff. I'm on board for children and all that stuff like that. But they were very disappointed with us when we were like, we're just letting him sleep. Like he needs to sleep more than not. And guess what? Not a problem at all. Living his best life. Because the percentages, you can tell any story you want with a percentage.
You're saying those numbers there. You're doing those numbers here. You're a numbers guy, huh? Okay, I'm joking here, right? Where's the headline? I can't pay attention to all those.
You don't want to
there.
pay attention to the fine details. But
yeah.
They tell you what to do, but without telling you the math behind it. And it's like, I need to know the math to make my best decision.
Math. Oh my God, you said math.
Yeah, and I'm American because I say maths. I didn't put the S on it.
Right. All right, boy.
Yeah, but if you're doing more than one equation, I guess it's maths.
Right.
We don't like that now. It's just you just ask Siri what the equation is. I busted my daughter doing our math homework, asking the Alexa robot like how to do equations. I said, you're not doing anything.
Well, you just do it on the phone, right?
No, she just asked the robot. She's doing little kids math. Alexa, what's 5 + 3? It's like, 5 + 3 is 8. And she come to give me her sheet. I'm like, I heard you ask the robot all this stuff. Too smart or like not smart enough? I don't know. It's a fine line she's walking right now.
My rant about the peanut butter jelly sandwich also then folds into when I was like, bike helmets. No kid wore a bike helmet. What are we talking about? And I agree that you should have a bike helmet on. But I don't know. That's the one thing I'm sort of like, well, you don't really need I certainly all my friends made it through childhood without a bike helmet. But yes, no, you should wear a bike helmet. But that's my one little thing I'm sort of retaining as an old guy. It's like, you don't need bike helmets. I'll just
now they have these electric bikes. The electric bikes going like 30 miles an hour.
Well, yeah, so maybe you should need a bike helmet. Yeah, I recommend you wear a bike helmet.
I jumped on my buddies for a minute, got that thing up to 19, and I was like, this is way too fast for my comfort with barely being in control. I'm not a motorcycle guy, obviously, or doing any of that, but I'm like, this is just very, I'm in flip-flops and shorts and just cruising down the road at 20 miles an hour. Seems like a bad idea.
So, all right, ranting about society in general here.
Man, let's go.
It's amazing how that technology just allows you to be more stupid. I mean, or just ignorant, because we're anticipating where you're going to crash or where you're going to kill yourself, and then just divert you away from there. Here, just a basic example, right? When I was a kid back in the 70s, right? When you're driving a car in the snow or in New England, pump the brakes. Don't if you're gonna stop the car, you need to do this. Pump, right? And as an 18-year-old, okay, I understand. Pump the brakes. So I am in snow. Pump. Don't drive fast. Pump the brakes. Right? And no one got that. Crash. So the car manufacturers had to adjust the brakes, since no one did it. Even though I was a 17-year-old that could understand that. So you had to change the technology, so people the ignorant who are like, okay, good, they won't kill themselves now, not pumping brakes. This also folds into seatbelts. So it's like, you wear a seatbelt. I believe in the laws of physics. My face will go into the dashboard. I should wear a seatbelt. And it's amazing how some people bleh. Certainly back in the 80s. You're
suggesting that all of these things that are done for us is not helping Darwinism, and our society is getting stupider because they would have weeded themselves out.
It's in a cruel fashion, but but you notice how seatbelts, you no longer have to connect the seatbelts. When I was a kid, you connected the seatbelt. Okay, don't forget to connect it. Now you just slide in your car and it closes. And again, they built it that way, knowing that the ignorance of the masses, they're just going to kill themselves, or we're going to have to pay for all the hell. Just tell you what, just make the seatbelt connect automatically, because they're not going to do it themselves. And there's a whole bunch of stuff where, you can basically, it's almost like in our country, it's like, it's your right to be as stupid and ignorant as you want to be. And a whole bunch of people are exercising their rights. And yeah, you're right. You live as dangerous as you want. Now, hopefully, you're not going to crash into me. But it's amazing how much technology is like, yeah, you've got to watch out for the one idiot who is going to, put it in their mouth. That's why you see all the warnings, like, what idiot would do that?
You don't need Tide
yes.
Pods? Like there was a Tide Pod challenge?
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh my God, please, kids, do more of that. Do more of that,
Right,
please. Like, that is,
right.
yeah.
So it's just like, oh.
So I
Again,
saw there was, as I was poo-pooing studies, there was a study just
Right.
showing that long-term memory was going down because we used to have to know people's phone numbers, and we used to have to know where we were going if you went to get somewhere, or understand directions. If I told, even if it was like, hey, the purple barn, and make a right and then go down to that third rock, at least that meant something to you and you had to pay attention. Now there's people turning into the rivers and the oceans. Oh, well, Google Maps told me to make a right. But did you see the giant body of water? That didn't cross your mind at all that was not a road? That was just you driving in there? But apparently people having a hard time remembering really anything now.
Well,
which would fit into what we're talking about.
60-year-old head. Yeah, it's not retaining. Yeah, no, yes, not yes. Can I just point out that as a grumpy old guy, yes, I embrace technology. I'm the weirdo here. Out of my, no, I don't brag like, oh, this computer stuff. Yeah, no, you're an idiot. Yeah, just at some point, yes, my head will fail, and I won't be able to keep up like my mother. But yeah, it's just a natural progression of things to have your head calcify. I'm talking about the aging process, the ignorance process early on. I have no, yeah, as I said earlier, I have no kids. I have no children. I never had kids. I'm the weirdo, and that I have no skin in the game here. So in a sense that once I die, God, I hope you guys don't just just blow up the planet. It's one thing if I had kids like, well, I don't want the planet to blow up because or destroy or whatever, because yeah, I want my offspring to keep going. But yeah, I have no offspring. So God, I hope you guys don't screw it up when I'm gone.
Reincarnation, you could be back before you know it.
Oh boy, yeah. So again, that's yeah.
What do you think? So I don't know if you've done research on this. So like the Dalai Lama, that he will die and he will come back, and they find this child and they ask him these specific questions that only the other Dalai Lama would have known, and every Dalai Lama was the previous Dalai Lama. What do you think goes in with that?
Oh boy, not so now we're heading into religion. Belief is there an afterlife? Is there
these are things you can't answer. But they ask a small child and claim that he's the Dalai Lama. Do you think this is just they're choosing a family they want to?
All right. All right. What were the questions? I mean, normally, all right. Where's the study? Show me the facts. Lay it out. What specifically was said? Was it leading questions? I mean, the police back in the day, the police were notorious for leading a child to an answer, whether the kid was diddled or something, or it's like right. Before I even argue that, all right, show me what we're arguing about. What literally was said? What was the kid? And who presented this?
Do you think their goal is that they're lazy and they're going to give the most leading questions to find the first child they find?
No. If you believe in, the thing is, no. If you believe in reincarnation, you want that to be true. If you believe life after this, you want ghosts to be true. That confirms your belief in your afterlife. Of course, ghosts live. Or at least there's flimsy evidence, but I'm going to look for it because it's going to confirm, my belief here.
But if you choose a child who's going to grow up and be a shitty, selfish individual, and next thing the Dalai Lama is like, no, just give me all your money. Like, no,
well,
you people, you need to find someone, a good person.
A similar study is some hospital. We've heard about people coming back from the dead, right? That we were he was dead on the table. The usual story is I floated above myself. I saw the doctors working on me, and I went back in, and now my life is better. A couple of places who didn't advertise this put, I think, on some equipment, some clear numbers. So it's like a message or something that if you were indeed floating above your body, you would have seen the message that we wrote on the something machine on top. You can't see it from the gurney. No one's. And so once these people come back and they say, okay, so you were floating above your body. Yeah. What was the message that they can show you? Here it was. No one gets it. And again, we're talking, I mean, Houdini was struggling with that, was fighting this. Yeah, if you're, this is the whole religion thing, the whole life after death thing. And yes, we're looking for cases that confirm, your belief here. I would argue if you are going to study ghosts, shouldn't you have atheists study the ghosts for you? Or, you've seen the ghost shows where they walk around with equipment and they're looking for, if you just ask them, are you Christian? Do you believe that there's a life after death? Yes, definitely. Okay. So you have a bias, right? Can we point out you have a bias that you want all this to be true, right? So you're the worst person to be researching this if your bias is you're already pre-biased to have it true. Say similar to the Dalai Lama. Okay, so if you want, yes, I agree. That's a wonderful concept. Yes, as a skeptic, I really like that concept. I realize I really like that concept. Okay, so let me filter out my preconceived bias on that. Most people don't, right? And that's just how people work. But now we have to discuss religion. Woo, there's a big topic. Certainly bad for selling books too, right? So
the Bible's the number one selling book. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
you
right.
just wrote that. Yeah,
right.
That's the way you should have went.
Right. Well, yeah, of course. Yes, the Bible. Well, no, start your own version.
The King Eric version. That's what you should come out with.
Yeah.
Pseudonym. Your pseudonym, King Eric. Yep.
Joseph Smith.
King James.
Joseph Smith. All right. So, well, here, while we're on that topic here, let me fold. Yeah. Here, I got some research here, or where is it here? All right. Okay. I highly recommend everyone read Fantasyland by Kurt Anderson. Right. It's called Fantasyland: How America Went Haywire, a 500-year history. He basically, I think he's a historian. He basically, his suggestion on why we are like we are now was starting with the Pilgrims. Basically, they had their own belief system, right? A religious belief system, right? Which didn't jive with, Church of England, right? They figure, okay, if we go to the new country, right, we can live in our own little world, in a sense, our version of real religion, and not be persecuted. And, and that's why they came, right? I mean, that's the big thing. So we can then set up our own little church, or just live the way how we want to believe. Sex broke off of that, right? And then basically, and in the book, the guy illustrates, each development, they just went out further west, then there's, there are other churches that, started in Illinois. And then, you just keep going. Every time you had a kooky idea and how reality was like this, just move west, find like-minded people, and just work from there. And it just kept going up to the Mormons, all the way out to Joseph Smith. Then we hit the West Coast, and that's why it's almost like, the West Coast is filled with kooky ideas. It just grew out to there. Now we ran out of continent, and he basically goes in the book. He just shows just that, like, we're based on kooky, wacky ideas. And again, I'm taking a crack at religion, but there's certainly other belief systems and other things we're into that, this country embraced it from day one, and we're built on it. So that's how we are now, and don't expect anything to change. I mean, all the way into the gun culture, right? That's we embraced it. That was part of it.
The Wild West. That was the Wild West.
The Europeans will look at us and like, what's wrong? Why are they so obsessed with guns? It's like, well, that's who we are. So,
out of all that, I like that you said if you were on the East Coast, you're the most sober-minded American.
Comparatively. I like to argue. Yes, can I have a shout out for Massachusetts? I joke about this, but we were the only state that voted for McGovern when Nixon got reelected, right? And we know what happened to Nixon, right? Har har. So yes, we're a bunch of those damn liberals that we did call out Nixon, right? And okay. And just not here. Let me just alienate even more people. Okay, you ready? Here. So let's just knock off a whole section of the country. So I'm sure we lost half the people now. So
did we ever have them to begin with? That's the main question.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. No. My argument is, okay, anyone who's like, what did I ask? Oh, hold on. Okay, I'm being funny here. As an example, all right. Years ago, I hired a dude online to do a voiceover for a piece of animation. He was in Texas. And naively I said, so really you're from Texas? It's like, I wouldn't even know. It's like, so do you have a Texas accent? And he's like, well, I don't want to sound like an idiot. I'm like, yes, okay, you're right. I mean, yes, yeah, I can do the Boston accent. If I'm from Boston, I can park my car over there. Yeah, I purposely don't talk like this, even though I was born here in Boston. No, I don't.
That has made Matt Damon and Ben Affleck a fortune.
I titter like hell when it comes on SNL, and yeah, so. Yeah, so there's the cult. You can almost say that identify the people who don't have regional accents, who specifically say, no, listen, I'm not going with the standard crowd. I want to, not that I want to hear too, Muffy, I'm from Harvard. Yes, Muffy. There's that. For a while, if you sounded like that, you were an intellectual, you were high level, but you can almost draw the line like what's coming out of your mouth, and you really don't see too many high-end intellectuals that sound like, wow, really, you're from Alabama and you sound like that. You pick up the people who you hang out with. You pick up, right, their, I won't say mannerisms, but their customs, dress, right? Yeah, it's all just part of, human, nature. So where was I ranting at? Who else can I alienate?
This was fascinating. But Christian Bale won an award one time for maybe probably wasn't Batman, the one where he got really skinny and had to do whatever. And he went up to accept his award. And he was speaking Cockney. And he's like, this is how I grew up. This is how I speak. And I was like, oh my God, like, that's not even Queen's English. That's not even like anyone's English. It was the most interesting thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
Right. Obviously, he's a smart guy. Yeah. So on a similar note to that, Ricky Gervais. All right, here, I grew up quoting Monty Python, what's on the television? It looks like a penguin, it's apparent, I've worked on my English accent, but specifically the Cambridge accent that the Python guys did, right, which was an educated accent. And then so when someone like Ricky Gervais shows up, who's like, well, wait a minute, they were kind of making fun of that accent, but he's a smart guy. He's obviously, he's, but he kept his I'll call it lower class, but I think it's London. So it's interesting that I would, if I ever met the guy, like, so to me, smart English people sound like, Python. And they made fun of, Cockney raw. Yeah. So bang, there goes my hypothesis on intelligence in accent. So. I disavowed my own account.
We got more, yeah. So they had Schwarzenegger had a documentary. I think it was on Netflix or Amazon Prime recently, and I was watching it. So he has the his German Austrian accent that he uses,
right?
And I would say for most Americans, you just hear the accent. You don't know where his family grew up economically. What class he was in. And they said when they made Terminator, they had to dub his voice over in Germany because it was a farmer's. It was like a farmhand, lower class, accent that he has. And they're like, a robot wouldn't sound like that. That'd be ridiculous.
Right. Yeah. His first movie, his Arnold, when he was Arnold Strong, it was just completely dubbed in English. Yeah, which is surreal. You see the clips. Right. That was interesting. So that the real Germans knew that, like, all right. So I didn't know that he actually took the time to actually go out there and do the German over himself, right? So, yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they had to dub him because a robot would never sound like a poor field hand or whatever it would be. Which now it's kind of funny too. Like, why don't we have a robot coming out with a horrible Southern accent or whatever it might be? I'm helping you insult the other half of the audience here.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Solidarity.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
That's great. Do you have any other avenues you want to cover? I've had a great time here.
Other than if you want to make fun of the book, it's Higher Strangeness. The second one, you go to higherstrangeness.net. You can see what we were blabbering about. If you
on social media, can people follow you anywhere?
Yeah, if you want to find more of the links, if you want to find baby pictures of me, it's at adeadguy.com. Now that's going to be a 20-year joke. I'm willing to wait this out to make it funny. What happens at some point, I will be a dead guy, right? And wow, this website was written by a dead guy. I'm willing to wait it out so the joke will work. I won't be here to appreciate it, but damn it, it's going to be a good joke when I die. So I've set it up for that. Again, no one will care. Most likely, no one will care. Obscurity, yes.
I
Welcome
will go to a
obscurity.
psychic medium and I will talk
Right.
to you in the afterlife to let you know how hysterical it is that I have to go to a deadguy.com.
Like, to actually, well, but no one's going to go there, so no one cares.
Yeah.
So I know I'm. It's one more last rant, I guess. As an old guy, it's like when you're younger, like, no, I'm going to be famous. I'm going to be famous. The world's going to admire me. I mean, it's like, and then when it doesn't happen, you go, oh yeah, well, that's what happened. So you just you just turn into your grandparents. Sorry, kids. You don't
How
have to
many
go as
famous
bad.
authors now, though? I mean, Da Vinci was penniless when he died, right? And now that he's famous,
Right.
you are too early for your time. Your work will be appreciated. Hopefully,
Or maybe not. The best I can hope. The best I can hope for is an AI reads the book at some point, 100 years from now, and say, "Oh yeah, I think the guy got it right a little bit." I won't be around.
They had some girl was on TikTok, some little girl. She's like, "Hey, please buy my dad's book. He wrote some book years ago that went nowhere, that went nothing, and then it went viral because his little 7-year-old girl
Right.
decided to like plead for it on TikTok." So like, I need to do that with my children to exploit them to get more traffic. And you're not. Hey, you could always have kids, man. Don't worry about it. You could get them to push your books.
I'm going.
You got made this far.
No, I've I'm going down. I'm going low. I am now going low, and then all you young kids are like, "Oh my God, this old guy! Look at he's just yeah." No, I'm I learned my lesson. Writing clever, interesting. Yeah, no, I'm not doing that anymore. I was considering, like, can I even do like romance? I can't get around romance, but yeah.
Pseudonym, sensationalism. You've got it.
Yeah, that's what you guys want. I'll give it to you. You're right. You won. Yes. Forget
Give the
about
people
being
what they want.
clever.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you what you want here. So I apologize for trying to be clever. Sorry.
You go with a reformed skeptic. You can. There's more people buying books that aren't skeptics than there are that are believers.
Ding, there you go. My little rant on that is like, all right, as a filmmaker, I've been a filmmaker my whole life here. There are more and more. How much is a movie ticket now? I forgot. Was it 12?
15, $20 something?
15. Okay. So there are more morons with $20 who want to see a movie than there are PhDs with $20 who want to see a movie. Who are you going to make a movie for? If it's just, sell it to where the market. And again, anytime I've railed against, like, the agents that don't want my book, I fully understand. Yes, you sell it. That's the market. That's what they want. UFO books. Yes, there's grays, there's UFOs. Yep, it's out there. Bigfoot. Look at them all. Yep. That sell. That's what you want.
You write a book on the history of Hollywood and the glory days of all this, people will buy that. You write a book on this is why Hollywood sucks, you shouldn't watch movies. People are like, well, I just won't watch movies. I don't need to read a book about why not to watch movies. You just get to the end quicker.
And as an old guy, don't get me started on that too. Yeah. All right.
It is sad. I just watched Asteroid City the other night. I like his movies. Wes Anderson. I just like the way he makes movies.
Right.
And they're interesting. Was that his best movie? No. But it's also, you're missing all that middle ground. We were talking about Matt Damon and Ben Affleck earlier. Rounders with Matt Damon would never get made now. The card playing movie they did.
Right.
Good Will Hunting would never get made now. Or it would be the streaming thing on Netflix for 4 episodes and go nowhere. It is sad that if you don't make $1 billion movie, if it's not this giant, but even what's the profit? They're spending $200 million to make the movie, $100 million on advertisements, and then so you're making 3 times the amount. Like, make a $50 million movie, make 150. That's the same thing. But it is sad that you're missing these smaller movies.
Well, I would argue, that, Netflix. I mean, so there's, way more movies being produced that aren't being seen. They're all buried on Netflix, right? I mean, but certainly, I shot a big fat failed indie feature back in 2000. I had to shoot it on film. Busted my ass, cost a lot of money, 30 grand just for the film itself, and I had to coerce my friends to show up. You damn kids of today, you have a 4K camera. I would have given my left nut to have something shoot at that resolution back in 2000, which was, wasn't that long ago. So I would argue that there's more. Yeah, if you get signed by Netflix, they're going to give you money. It'll be a little movie. So you don't have to go for the top of the heap because, yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah, you just, it's going to have to be whatever you come up with for a studio, yeah, you better, it has to be broad enough. But yeah, no, I mean, there's plenty of places to make movies now. You can do your own, stick it on YouTube. Back in the day, again, old guy story, that I literally had to, I wanted to be the first guy to put my movie online, but I had to pay for the bandwidth. So as anyone download, and it was huge, back in 2000 standards. So yeah, it cost me a lot of money to give away my movie, and then people still hammered on it. I'm like, oh, yeah. So yeah,
I've interviewed two, maybe three low-end budget filmmakers.
Right.
And when they go through, and I watched the movies that they produced, and they're pretty good. Like, visually they're really good. And so I was talking to the one guy about Kevin Smith's Clerks, and Kevin Smith was on a podcast talking about that it cost him 70 to 80 grand to make Clerks. And now, that was like early 90s, 93 or something like that.
Yep.
And part of the way the footage was shot was also like how the 90s were then. Like, that was the aesthetic he was going for. I was like, how are you're telling me, you made this low budget film of $2 grand, $3 grand, whatever it might be. And your film looks 20, 50, 100 times better than what Kevin Smith put out. Now his, it struck a nerve in the generation. That's very different. But he's like, oh, no, all that money, he's like, I don't know his whole budget, but film is so expensive. He's like, I have a memory card. He's like, I'm just going out there just shooting like nonstop. It's all digital. It's just funny how that works.
Right. I mean, it's almost like the same deal for like writing books at this point, or getting, on Amazon. There's just, flood. I mean, you can now make your movies. So yes, it's tough to get noticed. Before, if you could just make a movie, that was the accomplishment. Like, wow, Rodriguez, the Rodriguez story, El Mariachi, right? He shot it really short. But the fact is that was a novelty back then. Wow, you actually made a movie for $3 grand? That, I was hoping to ride off of that, and by the time I showed up, I was like, and I believe I read his book. Yes, Kevin Smith. I've seen all the movies. I admire Kevin Smith, Rodriguez, all those. It changed back in 2000, and it's much worse right now. I mean, in the sense that, like, oh, is this a novelty for making a movie? No, it's not. Is it a novelty for writing books at this point? And no, it's not. Yeah.
Everybody can do it. Any moron can host a podcast that has 300 other similar ones just like it, as you're talking to one. But mine's the top 10 of all those morons.
Yeah. Someone on the podcast asked me, like, do I have any suggestions for with the youth of America? As a grumpy old guy, is certainly, it seems like that if you hack at this long enough, social media allows you to get an audience. It may take you 20 years. So if you don't think of it like, well, am I, famous next year? But it will slowly grow. If you just keep hammering at it, you will have a little audience, that 10 years from now will buy your book or watch your movie or whatever. It just takes a long time, right? And that just didn't exist back in 2000. I'm like, all right, I can show my mom, I got my friends, I have to hire a theater. Well, hopefully someone will remember that. So hey kids, so there's hope if you keep slugging at it. But if your objective is like, no, I have to be famous, I have to be rich and famous, like, oh boy. Well, and if you're just going to keep using examples of people who made it, who are the exceptions to the rule, so you just keep at it. If that's what you really want to do, if that's your objective is to do film or books or whatever, and that's in you, just keep doing it. I mean, I can't see how you're not going to get an audience, even though it's going to take a while.
I saw a meme on Twitter today. And it said Jesus started with only 12 followers and no blue check mark.
There you go.
Look what happened now. Number one selling book in America.
So right. Again, but make sure you're writing to your audience, right? So yes, you're going to live out. There's an afterlife, and then your life will go on. And I like that. Yes, that's what you want here. But the final thing is I remember watching my grandfather as a teenager, right? And he's got funny pants on. He's just in his garden pulling weeds. Look, he doesn't even care what he looks like. Nobody, now as a 6-year-old, I completely relate to my grandfather. I have my funny pants already. I want my garden. The world can just give it an F itself. Yeah, it's funny.
He showed you the way that many years
showed
ago.
me the way.
It took you that long to get caught up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. So
the sooner you start wearing funny pants and ignoring the rest of the world, the happier you'll be.
And you're obsessed with your lawn, and, you know, and I'm not that far, but yeah, pulling weeds. Yeah, sorry, kids. And believe me, I'm still writing as a 6-year. All my cool artistic friends from 30 are no longer doing this. Right? They stopped. I'm the last guy who I know who, when we were all cool, writing, you know, creating things, doing art. Now I'm still here. It's like, really? Like, why'd you keep going? So
still that fire, man. Still more to say. That's the important part.
Well, yeah, I do, but now it's like, yes. That's why I wrote the books. This is what I got to say. Have at it, everyone. You will.
Yeah.
So
I will post all your links in the show notes. We'll take care of all that good stuff.
All right.
Eric, anytime to come back, man. I enjoyed this conversation very much with you. Thank you so much.
All right, so you're saying that you actually have an audience, because most of the podcasts are like, okay, if I'm talking to 12 people, good. So if I embarrass myself, but oh, geez, I think I embarrassed myself, didn't I?
No, nothing you said was embarrassing. You never know what government agencies are listening, so always be on your best behavior.
Right.
This audience could be millions before you know it, or I could be hauled off down to some unknown black site.
Right.
You never know.
Okay.
It's like a Cracker Jack box. Who knows what's in there?
Okay.
Yep.
All right. I'm going
I appreciate your time.
I'm going back to my garden. I'll see everyone.
Enjoy it. Thank you so much, man. Take care.
Thanks. All right. Bye.
All right. Bye. All right, everyone. That was our show. Don't forget to leave a review on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you stream your podcast. Like and follow the podcast on Facebook and Instagram to stay up to date in all things wild and weird. Check out the links in the show notes for more information on our guest. The biggest support you can offer is to tell everyone about the podcast. Until next time.